Hello viewers, welcome to National Examinations Council NECO 2021 Past Questions and Detailed Solution General Mathematics Paper 2 Part 2. This part contains questions 6 to 12 and you are expected to answer 5 questions in this part. Solution to 7 questions in one video. Question 6a. If the second term of a geometric progression is 6 and the fourth term is 54, find Roman figure 1 first term, Roman figure 2 fifth term. Solution: you must understand that whenever the first term a and the common ratio arrow of a given geometric progression are unknown, it always leads to system of non-linear equation. We go by the nth term formula. From the question, the second term t sub 2 is equal to 6. At this point, n is equal to 2. Now, if you replace n with 2, you have this result in the nth term. Now, the second term is 6 equal to a arrow. From here, 2 minus 1 is 1. You can call that equation 1. From the same question, the fourth term t sub 4 is equal to 54. At this point, n is equal to 4. So in the nth term formula, you replace n with 4. T sub 4 is 54 equal to a arrow cube. You can call that equation 2. To continue, you cannot solve both equations simultaneously because they are not linear. So you need to divide equation 2 by 1. Equation 2 by 1 because we are considering the highest power of arrow and it is found in equation 2. So let's divide equation 2 by 1. So you divide side by side. This is the left hand side of equation 2 by the left hand side of equation 1. Right hand side of equation 2 divided by right hand side of equation 1. That leads to 9 equal to arrow squared if you cancel a from the expression. To get arrow, you take the square root of both sides, and arrow is equal to square root of 9, and that is 3. To get a, which is the first term, you need to substitute arrow value into equation 1 or equation 2. Because equation 1 is simpler, let's go by equation 1. This is equation 1. You replace arrow with 3. So you have 6 equal to 3a. To get a, divide both sides by 3. So a is equal to 6 over 3 equal to 2. Therefore, my figure 1, first term denoted by a is equal to 2. Roman figure 2, you are asked to find the fifth term. The fifth term t sub 5 is equal to a arrow power n minus 1. Previously, a is equal to 2, the common ratio is 3, and n is 5 because the fifth term, at that term n is 5. So the fifth term t sub 5 is equal to first term 2 times common ratio 3 to the power of 5 minus 1. That simplifies to this, and you have 2 times 81 equal to 162 as the fifth term of the geometric progression. Question 6b. In a school of 160 pupils, 75 have pencils, 87 have pens, and 93 have rulers. 25 have both pencils and pens. 30 have both pencils and rulers, while 47 have both pencils and rulers. Each pupil has at least one of the three items. Roman figure 1. Draw a Venn diagram to illustrate the information. Roman figure 2. How many pupils have pencils only? Solution. Let us define the subset for easy writing. Let A equal to number of students with pencils, B pupils, number of pupils with pens, C number of pupils with rulers. From the question, total number of pupils, that is the universal set or the union of the three subsets, you have 160. Number of pupils with pencils are 75. Number of pupils with pens 87. Number of pupils with ruler 93. Now both pencils and pens 25. Both pencils and rulers 30. Both pens and rulers 47. The intersection, that is what the item the pupils have in common, that is intersection, is unknown. Let's denote that with S. So this is the Venn diagram. The rectangle denotes universal set. You have three subsets. Now this is the intersection. This is the intersection. Then you have to compute 25 minus S. Those that have pencils and pens, they are 25, and this S you have here is also part of that region. So only pencils and pens becomes 25 minus S. Here only pencils and ruler 30 minus S, and only pens and rulers 47 minus S. Let us get the remaining parts of the Venn diagram. I'm doing it step by step so that you can understand it with ease. Now let's get only A, that is this part. Now just this part alone. Now those pupils with pencils, they are 75. To get only A, you have to add this together and subtract it from 75. That is what you have here. That simplifies to this. If you open the bracket with a minus sign, you have this result, and that is 20 plus S. Now let's get only B, just this part. Those that have pens are 87. For only pens, you have to add these three parts of pencils, and subtract it from 87 to get just this part, only pens. That is what you have here. That simplifies to this. If you open the bracket with the minus sign, you have this result, and that is 15 plus S. Only C, that is ruler, just this part. As usual, you add these three parts together, subtract it from 93. That is what you have here. That simplifies to this. If you open the bracket with the minus sign, you have this result, and that is 16 plus s. We need to update the diagram, the Venn diagram, with this information. At this point, you have the complete Venn diagram. That is Roman figure 1. Roman figure 2, you are asked to find the number of pupils with pencils only. That is this place, 20 plus s. Now s is needed, and it is obtained as follows. To get s, you add everything in the universal set and equate it to 160 degrees. So you start from this plus this plus this. Then you come here plus the intersection, the respective intersection of the two items plus the intersection of the three items. You equate it to 160. If you add the numbers and cancel out the terms that need to go, you are left with 153 plus s equal to 160. If you collect like terms, you have s equal to 160 minus 153, and that is 7. Therefore, pencils only is equal to 20 plus 7, and that is 27 pupils have pencils only. Question 7a. Use the information in the figure below to find the value of s. This is the given figure or diagram. To find the value of s, we need to add other angles such as a, b, and y. From this figure, once we get b, b is equal to s, alternate angles, since AC is parallel to this side. So let us see what happens next. From the figure, y is equal to 83 degrees, corresponding angles. Now that y is known, you can get b by considering triangle ACD. If you add the three angles in that triangle, the sum is 180 degrees. If you replace y with 3 degrees, you have this result, and b plus 130 equal to 180 degrees. If you make b to stand alone, you have 180 degrees minus 130 degrees, and that is 50 degrees. It follows that s is equal to b, and that is 50 degrees. Alternate angles. Alternatively, you can as well get a first. For you to get a, this line AB is parallel to DC. That means angle A is equal to 47. Alternate angles. Now let's get B. You add the three angles on this line. The sum is 180 degrees. You replace A with 47 degrees plus the rest angles equal to 180 degrees. That simplifies to this. If you make B the subject, you have 180 degrees minus 130 degrees, and that is 50 degrees. Therefore, S is equal to B equal to 50 degrees. Alternate angles. Question 7b. a boat sails 6 kilometers on a bearing of 040 degrees and then 8 kilometers on a bearing of 100 degrees. Roman figure 1. How far is the boat from its starting point? Roman figure 2. Calculate the bearing of the boat from its starting point. Leave your answers to the nearest kilometer and degree. Solution. This diagram illustrates the information. This is the starting point. The boat sails 6 kilometers on a bearing of 040 degrees to this point, that is point A. When the boat gets to point A, it moves again on a bearing of 100 degree from the north. Here is 100 degree, a distance of 8 kilometers to point B. Now, if here is 40 degrees, here is also 40 degrees, alternate angles. The whole of this side is 180 degrees. If from here to here is 100, the remaining part is 80 degrees. So this angle becomes 40 degrees plus 80 degrees. That is 120 degrees. Now, you are asked to find how far is the boat from the starting point. The boat is currently here. This is the starting point. You are asked to find this distance, because the side you are looking for, the angle facing it is known. You can use cosine rule because the two other sides are known as well. Roman figure 1, the distance of the boat from the starting point is BS, denoted by A. Cosine rule is applicable. This is the rule stated. You replace B and S with what they stands for, and angle A is 120. You have it in this form. So 36 plus 64 minus, if you multiply 2 by 6 by 8, you have 96. Cosine of 120 degrees is minus 0.5. That simplifies to this, and you have 148. To get A, the distance of the boat from the starting point, you take the square root of 148, and that is 12.1655. To the nearest kilometers, you have 12 kilometers. Roman figure 2. From the diagram, the bearing of the boat from the starting point is 040 degrees plus theta. Theta is needed if you visit the diagram and is obtained using sine rule. The side facing theta is known. The angle of 120 degrees, the angle of 120 degrees, the side to it is this 12. So the sine rule is stated in this form. If you make sine theta the subject, you have this result. 8 times sine 120 degrees, you have this result. Divide by 12, and that is 0.5773525. To get theta, you need to take the inverse of sine of this value, and that gives 35.2643 degrees. The required bearing is 040 degrees plus 035.2643 degrees. If you add, you get this result. To the nearest degree, you have 0.75 degrees. In bearing calculations, we always use 3-digit bearing. Hence, the addition of the 0 before 75 and other angles that is affected. Question 8a. Find the area enclosed by the curve y equal to 2x squared plus 3, the x-axis, and the ordinates s equal to 2, s equal to 1. Solution. This is the given area. By definition, the first point is equal to A. That means A is equal to 2. The second point B is equal to 1. In other words, the first point given in the question is A and the second point is B. So you replace A and B with 2 and 1 respectively. This is the curve, then you have the S. To integrate algebraic functions, the rule to be used is integral s power n ds equal to s power n plus 1 over n plus 1, then plus c, constant of integration. But when you are dealing with definite integrals involving limit, the constant is not added because after the whole thing it will cancel off. So if you integrate this term using that rule, you have 2s cubed. You simply add 1 to the existing power, it becomes 2s cubed, and you divide by the power 3. Plus, if you integrate a constant, it attracts the variable of interest, that is 3s. You state the limits in this form. To evaluate definite integral, you write the result and replace s with 1 in this form. When you are evaluating definite integral, the sign we use is minus. The operator is minus. You write the result again and replace s with 2. If you simplify the first bracket, you have this result minus the second bracket. So open the second bracket with this minus sign. That is what you have here, so that you find the LCM directly. That is 3. If you divide 3 by 3, you have 1. 1 times 2, you have 2. Divide 3 by 1, you have 3. 3 times 3, you have 9. Divide 3 by 3 is 1 times minus 16. You have minus 16. Divide 3 by 1 is 3 times minus 6. You have minus 18. By the time you add and subtract, you have minus 23 over 3. Expressed as mixed fraction, you have minus 7 whole number 2 over 3. Area cannot be negative, hence you ignore the minus sign, and the area is 7 whole number 2 over 3 square units. Question 8b. In a community, men contribute P naira each and women Q naira each towards the community development fund. In a week, 3 men and 5 women contributed a total of 9,500 naira. In another week, 5 men and 10 women contributed a total of 17,500 naira. Find the Roman figure 1 value of P and Q. Roman figure 2 total amount that will be contributed by 8 men and 12 women. Solution. From the first paragraph, 3 men and 5 women contributed a total of 9,500. The men, they contribute P naira each. It means 3 men contribute 3p. The women contribute Q naira each. It means 5 women, they contribute 5Q, and the sum of their contribution is 9,500 naira. You call that equation 1. From the second statement, 5 men and 10 women contributed a total of 17,500 naira. That simplifies to equation 2. To get P and Q, you need to solve both equations simultaneously using elimination method. So you have both equations. I want to eliminate variable Q in order to get P. To do that, Q must have the same coefficients in both equations. Currently, you have 5 and 10 as the coefficients of Q. Now, the LCM of 5 and 10 is 10. So, this 10 remains. To make 5 to be 10, you multiply equation 1 by 2 and equation 2 by 1 so that 10 remains. If you do that, equation 1 becomes this and you have equation 2. Now, to eliminate variable Q, you need to subtract both equations because the signs you have here are positive in both equations. So you need to subtract. If you subtract 6p minus 5p, you have p. If you subtract here becomes 0. 19,000 minus this value, you have 1,500 naira as the value of P. To get Q, substitute the value of P into equation 1. This is equation 1. You replace P with 1,500. You multiply it by 3 plus 5Q equal to 9,500. If you simplify this term, you have this result. If you make 5Q to stand alone, you have this result. After subtraction, you have this result. To get Q, divide both sides by 5 and Q is equal to 1,000. Therefore, P is equal to 1,500 naira and Q 1,000 naira. Roman figure 2, total amount that will be contributed by 8 men and 12 women is, you have 8 times the amount each man, times the amount contributed by men each. That is 8 times 1,005 plus 12 times the amount contributed by women each. That simplified to 12,000 plus 12,000, and that is 24,000 naira. Question 9. An aircraft flies from P latitude 12 degrees north and longitude 11 degrees west to Q latitude 12 degrees north and longitude 11 degrees east in 2 hours, and then changes its course and arrive at S latitude 44 degrees north and longitude 11 degrees east in 6 hours after leaving Q. Full stop. Calculate correct to 3SF. A part of the question: total distance covered. B, average speed of the aircraft. C, time difference between Q and S. Use pi to be 3.142 and radius of the earth as 6,400 kilometers. I want to show the point on the earth, so you draw the earth as a sphere. To locate the various points, you start by drawing the principal axis, that is north south, and east west. After that, you draw the two reference points, that is the equator latitude 0 degrees and the prime meridian longitude 0 degrees. Now, the first point is north of the equator. So the first small circle you draw here is a parallel of latitude. So this is latitude 12 degrees north. Now the longitude is on the west side, so you draw this as longitude 11 degrees west. If you move to point Q, the same latitude as this, but the longitude is to the east. Already this longitude is 0 degrees. You draw the one for 11 degrees east. You move to point S. Point S is latitude 40 degrees north, that is after 12. So somewhere here you have latitude 44 degrees north, the same latitude 11 degrees east. So this is how the diagram should look like. All that I illustrated earlier is what you have here. So this point is latitude 12 degrees, longitude 11 degrees. That is P. This point is latitude 12 degrees, longitude 11 degrees. That is Q, and this is point S. So we are asked to find the total distance, that is from P to Q and Q to S. The solution continues. Since distance along small circle is not specified by default, we are to use the formula for calculating distance along great circle. Such distance is this: total distance is equal to distance PQ plus distance QS. Distance PQ is on the same latitude but different meridian, and as such angular difference becomes 11 degrees plus 11 degrees, and that is 22 degrees. Since the points are on different longitude or different side of the meridian, you have to add them to get the angular difference. So distance PQ is equal to 22 degrees over 360 degrees times 2 times pi times radius of the earth. This simplifies to this. When you divide, you have 2457.7422 kilometers. Distance QS is on the same side of the meridian, and as such, the angular difference is through subtraction. The angular difference is through subtraction. Since point Q and S are on the same side of the meridian, you have to look to the latitude to get the angular difference. They are on the same side of the equator, so you have to subtract the two angles to get the angular difference to be 32 degrees. Distance QS is therefore 32 degrees over 360 degrees times 2 times pi times radius of the earth. That simplifies to this, and you have 3574.8978 kilometers. Total distance becomes the addition of the two distances, and that gives this. To 3SF, you have 6030 kilometers as the total distance. Roman figure 2, average speed, that is total distance over total time. The time for the whole journey is 2 hours for the first journey plus 6 hours for the second journey. That is 8 hours. So you have total distance over 8 hours, and that is 754.08. To 3SF, you have 754 kilometers per hour. Roman figure 3, time difference between Q and S. The time difference is simply 6 minus 2, and that is 4 hours. Question 10a. Copy and complete the table below for the relation y equal to s squared minus 2s minus 3. You have the table of values with some missing y values, and you are expected to get them. B part of the question, draw the graph of the relation in A above using a scale of 2 cm to 1 unit on x-axis and 1 cm to 1 unit on y-axis. Hence, determine the roots of the equation s squared minus 2s minus 3 equal to 0. Part B is 2 in 1. C part of the question, using the same axis, draw the graph of y equal to 2 minus 2s. This one is linear graph. D part of the question, deduce the roots of the equation s squared minus 2s minus 3 equal to 2 minus 2s. That is the points of intersection of the curve, and the line is the root of that equation. E part of the question, find the minimum value of y equal to s squared minus 2s minus 3. Solution. In order to plot the two graphs, we need to complete the table of values for the quadratic and linear function. Table of values for y equal to s squared minus 2s minus 3 over the range of values of s. You have values of s already. To get y values, you need to get s squared and minus 2s precisely. To get s squared, you need to square each value of s. If you square minus 3, you have 9. Square minus 2, you have 4. Square minus 1, you have 1, and so on. To get minus 2s, use minus 2 to multiply each value of s. So minus 2 times minus 3, you have 6. Minus 2 times minus 2, you have 4. Minus 2 times 10, you have minus 10. Minus 3 is a constant, and as such, you write it under each value of s, as you can see. To get y value, you need to add down. 9 plus 6, 15. Minus 3, you have 12. 4 plus 4, 8. Minus 3, you have 5, and so on. Now, let us jump to see part of the question and also construct the table of values for the linear graph. Y equal to 2 minus 2s, using the same range of values of s. 2 is a constant. You write it under each value of s. To get minus 2s, you multiply each value of s by minus 2. So the same thing you have here is what you have here. To get y, you simply add. 2 plus 6, 8. 2 plus 4, 6. 2 plus 2, 4, and so on. We continue by plotting the quadratic equation graph first. Okay, so we start by restating the scale. The scale is 2 cm to 1 unit on s-axis and 2 cm and 1 cm to 1 unit on y-axis. This scale implies that one line is equal to 0.1 units on s-axis and 0.2 units on y-axis. Now, this graph I'm using, you have the boss is 5 lines. Each boss is 5 lines. By default, it is 1 cm. So on the s-axis, you combine 2 bosses and give it 1. The next two bosses becomes 2, and so on. If you move to the left, you have negative values. On the y-axis, the end of the first boss from the origin is 1. Next one is 2. You have 3, 4, 5, and so on. When you move down from the origin, you have minus 1, minus 2, and so on. Next thing is to plot the various values. The first one, when s is minus 3, y is 12. So 12 minus 3, this is the point of intersection. Minus 2, 5, this is the point of intersection. Minus 1, 0, when y is 0, s is 1. You plot that one directly on the s axis. When s is 0, y is minus 3. You plot it directly on the y axis. 1 minus 4, this is the point of intersection. 2 and minus 3, this is the point of intersection. When s is 3, y is 0, you plot that directly on the s axis. 4 and 5, this is the point of intersection. 5 and 12, this is the point of intersection. You always include the title of the graph. For now, it is the quadratic equation. Next thing is to join the various points together. Now, all the points have been joined together. In that question B also, you are asked to determine the roots of the equation s squared minus 2s minus 3 equal to 0. This is the equation that you have plotted, and as such, no further simplification is required. The roots of the equation are the point of intersection of the curve with the s-axis. The roots are minus 3, minus 1 or 3, minus 1 or 3. We move to see part of the question. You are to plot the linear graph on the same axis. Already the table of values, we have done it earlier, so you bring it in. The first point there, minus 3, 8. This is the point of intersection. Second point, minus 2, 6. Somewhere here. Minus 1, 4. Somewhere here. 0, 2. When s is 0, y is 2. You plot that directly on the y-axis. 1, 0. When s is 1, y is 0. You plot that directly on the s-axis. This is 2 minus 2. You have 0.3 minus 4. This is 0.4 minus 6. The last point, you can discard it. Already the line has intersected with the curve from the way it is. Next thing is to join the points together, and the title is updated to reflect the linear graph. At this point, the points from the linear graph have been joined together. Hence, you are asked to find the roots of this equation. If you observe very well, this is the curve and this is the straight line, the quadratic and the linear function. The roots are the points of intersection. One point is here, another point is here. You trace this point to the s-axis. You have it somewhere here, and it is in between minus 2.2 and minus 2.3. In between must be minus 2.25. You know, on the s-axis, we said that one line is 0.1 unit. If you trace this point up, it's also in between 2.2 and 2.3. The middle becomes 2.25. as the roots of the curve and the line. E part of the question, find the minimum value of y equal to x squared minus 2s minus 3. That is the curve. This is the minimum point on the curve. If you trace that point to y-axis, you have minus 4 as the minimum value. Question 11a. Find the inverse of the matrix A, where A is equal to, this is the matrix, elements in the first row 6, 11, second row 1, 2. Hence, solve the matrix equation AS equal to B, where S is the column matrix with entries SY, and B the column matrix with entry 29, 5. Solution. The given matrix is a 2 by 2 matrix. To get the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix, let us assume the general 2 by 2 matrix. The inverse, denoted by A to the power of minus 1, that is the inverse of matrix A, is equal to 1 over determinant. Determinant of this matrix is difference of the product between the two diagonals. You start with the main diagonal, the product is AD. The second diagonal, the product is BC. The difference between the two products gives determinant. So 1 over determinant times this matrix. For this matrix, you interchange the position of the element in the leading diagonal from AD to TA, and the second diagonal you negate it, that is, you use minus 1 to multiply it. This simple rule is used to find the inverse of all 2 by 2 matrices that are invertible. So for this matrix, the inverse becomes 1 over, so A here is 6 times D, D is 2, minus that is BC, that is 11 times 1. In this form, you interchange the position of 6, 2 to 2, 6, and you negate this diagonal, it becomes minus 11 minus 1. Here is 12 minus 11, that is 1 over 1 times this matrix, and you have this as the inverse of matrix A. To solve the matrix equation AS equal to B means find S. Let us use the inverse method. By the inverse method, the solution is this. For you to get S, multiply through by the inverse of A. That gives S equal to A inverse times B. This is matrix S, this is the inverse, and this is matrix B. To multiply, you take this row to multiply this column, corresponding element to corresponding element, and you add. So you have 2 times 29 plus minus 11 times 5. After that, you take the second row to multiply the only column, corresponding element to corresponding element, and you add minus 1 times 29 plus 6 times 5. That simplifies to this, and you have this. By equality of matrices, you have it that S is equal to 3 and Y is equal to 1. You can visit my teachings on matrix and determinant in my YouTube channel for more details on matrices and determinants. Question 11b. The first and last terms of an arithmetic progression AP are 5 and 89 respectively. If the sum of the AP is 611, find the figure 1 number of terms in the AP. Figure 2 common difference. Solution. For the sum of terms of an AP, we have two formulas. One contains first term and common difference. The other is first term and last term. Since in this question the first and last terms are provided, we use the sum of terms formula containing first and last term. From the question, you are asked to find n, the number of terms, and the sum of n terms is 611. N is unknown. The first term is 5, last term is 89. You replace all of these in this formula, you have this result. Multiply through by 2 to clear fraction. At the same time, you add the two terms in the bracket and you have 94. Divide through by 94 or divide both sides by 94 to get n. So n is equal to 611 times 2 divided by 94. That simplifies to 611 over 47, and that is 13. Therefore, number of terms in that AP are 13. Roman figure 2, for the common difference, you can use the last term formula. The last term is also the same as the nth term. You have it in this form. The last term is 89 equal to first term 5 plus bracket open number of terms 13 minus 1 bracket close times common difference. Transfer 5 to the left hand side. You have this result equal to 13 minus 1. You have 12d. If you subtract, you have this result. To get d, divide both sides by 12, and d is equal to 84 over 12, and that is 7. Therefore, common difference is 7. Question 12. The scores of 30 students in a biology test are given below: 40, 74, 12, 27, and so on. A. Roman figure 1. Construct a frequency table with class interval 1 to 20, 21 to 40, and so on. Roman figure 2. Using an assumed mean of 30.5, calculate the standard deviation of the distribution. B part. Find the probability that a student selected at random scored above 60 marks. Solution. we proceed by constructing the frequency distribution table for the data. In that table, the first column is the class interval. Already a pattern is given to you: 1 to 20, 21 to 40. The next one becomes 41 to 60. For you to know the extent to which the class interval will go, you need to get the highest score, that is 90. So if you go in that order, you will have 81 to 100. Now we need S, that is the class mark. For you to get S, you take the average of each class interval, that is 1 plus 20, 21, divide by 2, you have 10.5. The next one, 21 plus 40, you have 61, divide by 2, you have 30.5. To save yourself some stress, just get the class size. The class size is 20. After obtaining the first class mark, you keep on adding 20. If you add 20 to 10.5, you have 30.5. If you add 20 to 30.5, you have 50.5, and so on. For you to get frequency, you need tally. To get the tally, you go to the data. You must know that tally is stroke representation of frequency. If you strike off the first score 40, you record it in the interval 21 to 40 in this form. You strike off 74, you record it in this interval. You strike off 12, you record it in this interval. You strike off 27, you record it in this interval. If you do all of that, you have 7, 13, 5, 4, and 1 as the frequencies of the various class interval. And when you add together, you have 30. So this is the frequency table for the given information. Roman figure 2 of the question is that you should find the standard deviation using assumed mean. So this version of the formula for the standard deviation involves assumed mean. So we have S, that is the class mark frequency. Now D is deviation from the mean. In this case, we say D is deviation from the assumed mean. That is S minus A. So the assumed mean given is 30.5. So you subtract 30.5 from each value under S. That gives the deviation. So you have 10.5 minus 30.5. You have minus 20. If you subtract 30.5 from this value, you have 0. If you subtract 30.5 from 50.5, you have 20. If you subtract 30.5 from 70.5, you have 40. If you subtract 30.5 from 19.5, you have 60. In the formula, we need FD. That is the product of frequency and the deviation. So you have 7 times minus 20 minus 140 13 times 0, you have 0. 5 times 20, you have 100. 4 times 40, 160. 1 times 60, you have 60. If you add this column down, you have 180. For us to get fd square, summation fd square, you need to get d squared, that is squaring each value here. You have this result. To get fd square, you use the frequency column to multiply d squared column respectively. Now let's take 7. 7 times 400, you have 2800. You do the same thing for the rest value. When you add down, you have 14,800. So in the standard deviation formula, you replace the various terms summation fd square, summation f, summation fd with what they stands for in this formula. So that simplifies to this. If you divide and evaluate, you have this result. After subtraction, you have this, and when you check the square root of that number, you have 70.1949. To one decimal place, you have 70.2 as the standard deviation. B part of the question, you are asked to find the probability that a student selected at random scored above 60 marks. From the table, those that scored above 60 marks range from 61 to 80, they are 4, and 81 to 100, just 1 person. So the required probability is number of students that scored above 60 marks over total students who took the test. That is 4 plus 1 over 30. You have 5 over 30, and that simplifies to 1 over 6. To end this paper, there is every need for you to be saved. If you are not to be saved, you just have to give your life to the Lord Jesus Christ and confess him as your Lord and personal Savior every day of your life. If you are saved already, congratulations, live righteously and be prepared, because on the last day some will be taken and some will be left. Take good care of yourself, stay out of trouble, study your books, do the needful at all times, flee every appearance of evil, don't defraud others to make money, use your hands and your brain to work genuinely and legally, and the Lord will bless you. Goodbye and stay tuned.